Hi, you're watching Chillmonger. Now, usually I do videos on Marvel movies, maybe an X-Men comic book here or there. But when I do feel motivated enough about another topic, I'm not afraid to dig into it. Today's issue, Kyrie Irving. I don't believe he made a choice. I want to get into the nitty-gritty, especially after what Adam Silver, commissioner of the NBA, said on Inside the NBA. Let's play the clip.
I'd tell him to get vaccinated first and foremost for himself and his family, next for his teammates and his community, and also for the league that I know he cares so much about.
So he mentions it's not just for Kyrie, but it's for his family, it's for his teammates in the league he cares so much about. We're going to tackle this. He also adds later on,
But at least from everything that I understand, science is firmly on the side of getting vaccinated.
the man said science is firmly on his side, according to what he knows. I'm about to educate Mr. Adam Silver because there's a lot of things he doesn't know. So it appears that he believes this is something that gives immunity, that makes everyone around you safer. False. What we're going to do here is, well, maybe we should start from the beginning. In the most objective, no, it's not going to be objective, no, but in the most truthful way, where we reach towards science and public health data and take all of the available information. Also, I'm not going to use words like vaccine, unvaccinated. I'm not going to say jab, any of those trigger words or words that, or choice, freedom, none of that shit. I'll break it down to you the way I perceive everything, starting from the beginning. There is a virus that leaks out. It becomes a pandemic somewhere around 2020. This shuts down the world. A lot of places have lockdowns. Now, in charge of the most influential country in the world is a man named President Trump. And this man is an idiot. He laughs at jokes in foreign languages before they can translate the punchline. Here he is speaking to the United Nations, and they're laughing at him.
In the history of our country, America's so true. Didn't expect that reaction, but that's okay.
Now, this perceived buffoon is a polarizing figure. If he says something, it's been politicized, and therefore the opposite must be true to many people. Now, you may think this has nothing to do with Kyrie Irving, but it's important to understand the landscape of what's going on. Cities with Democratic leaders, like New York, like Brooklyn, seem to go opposite of Donald Trump, as if to show, no, we care so much, we're going to mandate this thing. It's also like that in a place like San Francisco, where Andrew Wiggins, a player from the great nation of Canada, was in the same position as Kyrie Irving. We'll get to that part of the story. Now let's talk about this virus. I mentioned this virus. I'm going to pull up some local public health data to my surroundings because Toronto did a good job of tracking who was affected and how many people were affected. This is on Toronto's website. Based on the age groups, you can tell how it has impacted everybody. Now I'm looking at all of the deaths based on age group. One baby seems to have died, no one from 5 to 11, nobody from 12 to 17. And then we get to the age group of 18 to 29. This is that athlete generation. And 10 people in the city of Toronto, a city of 3 million, that's our population, roughly 3 million people live in the city, and only 10 of them have died from COVID-19. How many people got COVID-19? 10 out of 41,000 are the chances of dying from COVID-19 for his age group. Is this the case for other age groups? Of course not, everybody. This is a virus that affects different people based on their age, based on a lot of other factors like obesity, which Kyrie Irving does not have to worry about. This virus, he's just not afraid as other older people, the lawmakers, are. Look at these guys. President Biden being in his 70s, 17,000 citizens above 70 got this virus. Now, out of the 17,000, look at that. That's how many people died. This is a crisis for this age group. We should make policies that are age-based to save this age group. We should serve this age group. We should have earlier hours for this age group. We should tell young people not to be around this age group so that they don't mix. These are laws that should be put in place. If you ask me, that's not the video. The video is about Kyrie Irving. And here I'll add the hospitalizations from the city of Toronto. It's the same story. Back to the NBA seasons. So the 2019-2020 NBA season was canceled. To salvage it, they played it in a bubble in Orlando in the Disney World Resort, where there was a lot of testing, a lot of sanitizing, and a whole bunch of measures were put in place because the NBA is rich and can afford a lot of these measures. Testing specifically, they tested daily. In that place where they tested daily, there were no cases of the virus. Plus, these are athletes. Back to the screen. There were 10 deaths out of 41,000. I don't imagine that virus in Brooklyn has a different strain than the Canadian version. Now, time passes. That's that season. A second season is then played. It's called the 2020-2021 season, where congratulations to the Milwaukee Bucks. You've won that championship. And everything was all good. Now, next, we got to talk about these drugs. I mentioned politicians earlier. Politicians are paid by lobbyists, a lot of them part of the pharmaceutical industry. There's Moderna, there's Pfizer, there's other companies that provide these drugs. What this drug does in particular, in regards to this virus, is it provides you, after you're clear, with spike protein antibodies. So here's a picture of the SARS-CoV-2 virus. There's a spike protein there, there's a membrane protein, an envelope protein. The nucleocapsid protein, which houses the RNA, that's the replicating part of the virus, is found here. You only get antibodies for that spike. So now, the whole virus, you get antibodies for the spike. This isn't like the flu shot. This isn't like polio. This isn't like others where you would get a whole virus inactivated, put it inside your system, your body learns how to fight it, and you get immunity. There is no immunity. These are spike protein antibody providers, which is great, which is life-saving. But I'm not in a contest of who can say the most nice things about spike protein antibodies. I'm talking about what it does for you and what it doesn't do for you, according to Adam Silver. Adam Silver wasn't the only one. I should probably play what the Inside the NBA crew also said, because they seem to be under this illusion also.
First of all, you don't get the vaccine for yourself. You get it for other people.
No, I'm not saying.
Hold on, first. You said your piece.
No, I didn't say you do.
You don't get vaccinated just for yourself. Like Adam said, you get vaccinated for your family first. You get vaccinated for your teammates second, things like that. You don't get vaccinated just for yourself. Let's get that out the way.
And no one said you don't.
Yeah, let's Shaq. But Chuck makes a great point. It ain't about you. It's about getting everybody else. I mean, because I had some, second thoughts, but, I said, you know what? I'm not going to get Dr. Lucille O'Neal sick. I'm not going to get Latifah. I'm not going to get...
And I said the same.
So we got Shaq saying he's doing it for Lucille. We got Chuck saying it. Kenny's not objecting. It's not just Adam Silver who believes that getting these shots provides some sort of immunity and protects other people from you should you get it. It's false. It's not the case. We're gonna keep it Canadian and go on Canada's government website. Jumping to Canada's website, it says your vaccination status only changes your risk of catching COVID-19 and becoming ill. People want to pretend that maybe their confirmation bias kicks in, or like the sentence ends right over here. It doesn't. Catching COVID-19 and becoming ill. That's what it does. That's the benefit of spike protein antibodies. It keeps your body from getting inflammation, the damage that the spike can do when it accumulates and all that stuff. Okay, great. Got antibodies to that? Awesome. It doesn't stop it from spreading. There's more to the sentence. It says your status only. What is the definition of only? Only, and no one, or nothing more besides, solely, exclusively. Only. I like the way she said that.
Only.
Your vaccination status
Only.
changes your risk of catching COVID-19 and becoming ill. It doesn't change your risk of exposure to the virus out in the community. So that's it. That should debunk everything. But maybe you're thinking, that's Canadian science. I need some science with an eagle on it. Let's turn to the CDC. Well, there's actually a study here from the Barnstable County in Massachusetts. You're going to see that about 469 COVID-19 cases were identified in Massachusetts residents who had traveled to the town during the 3rd to the 17th of July. 70% of those occurred in fully vaccinated persons. People, if 74% of the people actually got the shots and they still tested positive, then we can measure and see how much efficacy these shots have at preventing cases. 469 cases in total. So let's see how much of the people were covered. It says so right here. The coverage among eligible Massachusetts residents was 69%. Approximately 3/4 of cases occurred in fully vaccinated persons. So 69% of them got the vaccines. 74% of them tested positive for it. Is actually an overrepresentation here. So of course there's going to be a little margin of error of 5, but the margin of error goes in the opposite direction if you're Adam Silver's case. But that's how many occurred in fully vaccinated persons. those who completed 2 doses of the mRNA vaccine, Pfizer, BioNTech, or Moderna. Now they mentioned Moderna. Moderna is the clinical trial data I'm going to use for this example. Before I close this tab from the CDC, this study offered one more really important, valuable, necessary, and appropriate to this conversation fact, and it's just how infectious someone who gets the shots, these spike protein antibody providers, is compared to someone who didn't. Like, do you have more viral load? And it turns out that they put it under a microscope and it's not the case. Here's the proof. It says real time RT PCR cycle threshold values in specimens from the 127 vaccinated persons with breakthrough cases were similar to those from the 84 persons who were unvaccinated, not fully vaccinated, or whose vaccination status was unknown. It was similar. It is not as if the people who actually get those injections have some sort of less capability of spreading. Not the case. From there, similar cycle thresholds. That's what that means. So, in no way, based on studies from the American side of things, not just Canada's website, but you can see, and this was right about the time where they started recommending, hey, even if you're in a group of everyone who got the shots, you should still be wearing a mask. That's when they changed that around July 30, if you remember that period of time in 2021. The knowledge came out. So it is a myth to believe otherwise. Let's go to what I said I was going to show you, the Moderna clinical trial data. So we're on their website. I believe that it's this chart right here that is a reason for the confusion, where they say that the vaccine efficacy is 94.1%. 28,000 participants who received 2 doses at 0 and 1 month of either Moderna or placebo. That's 14,000 for one group, 14,000 for the other group, and they had to have a negative status before they started the test. Okay, understood? So it's a study was 9 weeks post the second dose. 9 times 7 is 63. And after 63 days, we get this chart here. It says COVID-19 cases, asterisk. You want to know about that asterisk? We'll get to that asterisk. The placebo recipients, there was 185 positive cases, as it says here on the side of the chart, number of COVID-19 cases. There's that asterisk again. 185 got it, who were the placebo folks, and 11 of the people received the actual shots. At first glance, you go, well, holy crap, this has an efficacy of preventing spread of the virus because only 11 people tested positive who got the actual shots, and 185 people tested positive. This asterisk is quite important, and I'm kind of teasing and building to it as if this is some game, but it's important that you realize this. If the asterisk says the date that the study was published, then all right, that's the date, yeah, sure. If the asterisk says these are test results from Sundays only, then you're like, what? That's not clear. I need the whole picture. You know, this asterisk is quite important because, as we know right now, it says COVID-19 cases, and we're left to assume it means every single case in the case of cases, just all cases. Let's read what that asterisk said. So let's scroll down. Let's zoom in. The asterisk is for COVID-19, symptomatic COVID-19, requiring positive RT-PCR result and at least 2 symptomatic symptoms and 1 respiratory symptom, cases starting 14 days after the second dose. If this is talking about symptomatic COVID-19, and we know for a fact now, we know that definitely now, that these guys are definitely at an advantage of showing symptoms because they got the real thing that's going to reduce their symptoms, then clearly it's an uneven, scale, a graph. Now, you're probably thinking, no, chillmonger. What you don't understand is they tested these guys every day. So it's not like, oh, it was up to the buddy system to report your symptoms and then you get your tests. How often did they test? I can find out exactly how much. Because Moderna offers that information down here in their phase 3 trial protocol. Surveillance for COVID-19 will be performed through weekly contacts with the participant via a combination of telephone calls and completion of an e-diary starting at day 1 through the end of the study. Where does it say that there's going to be weekly testing? Nothing about weekly testing, nothing about frequent testing. This is going off of the honor system. But how often did they test? There's a chart for that on page 104. Table 14, Adam Silver. Efficacy assessment, Chuck. Nasopharyngeal swab, Shaquille. There was 1 nasopharyngeal swab test, RT-PCR test, that was done on day 1, There was a second that was done on day 29 of this 9-week trial. You can see that there's no more other boxes checked. It goes up to day 57. If you can go this gap, first of all, from 1 to 29, plenty of people can get it. Get COVID-19. Plenty of people can get COVID-19, heal from it, not test positive the second time around. And if they have the spike protein antibodies via Moderna's shot, then clearly they're probably not going to show symptoms. They have a lesser chance of that, depending on their age too, especially if they're younger. I'd like to see when it's 11 versus 185. I bet a lot of those 11 people were older. I bet that. I bet a whole bunch of young people didn't have symptoms to it, especially with the booster of having spike protein antibodies, which is great. Again, it's a life-saving thing. If you're older, definitely consider getting. I would recommend it. I'm looking at you old folks right now, and I'm saying we saw the charts and how it more than double, more than triple, probably like I don't want to be wrong, but a whole lot times more affects you guys. Think about it. You're at the end of your lives. Anything can take you out. Consider it. I'm recommending it. But for people who are Kyrie Irving's age, it's just illogical. It's normal not to inject yourself with some experimental shit. There could be adverse reactions. What if the person who's injecting it misses your tissue, gets it in your blood? You don't want nothing like that. There are reports of blood clots. There are reports of myocarditis, a whole bunch of other ish I can't pronounce, but there are reports of negative results to this. You're Kyrie Irving. You got the privilege of being young. He's fit. The privilege, the luxury of not having to do a 9 to 5 where he's got to take an underground tunnel to work and be in a closed air space. He's not in a desk for 8 hours next to people. The only people he's going to be next to are NBA employees. And the NBA, as I said, keep on saying, has the funds to be testing everyone to make sure that they're not COVID positive when they're on site. He's got that benefit. He's not spreading it, especially as we debunked getting these spike protein antibody providing shots doesn't give you any sort of immunity at all, and your risk of exposure doesn't change, doesn't get decreased because, oh yeah, I got these shots. It's not the case according to Canada and according to the Center for Disease Control. So when we look at that graph and we can see that they only tested 2 times, it's not a tight enough evidence to even say that, oh, this has efficacy. What Moderna said, and we'll go back to that page one last time, is that they have efficacy for symptomatic cases like it says down here. They never lied to you. Moderna never lied to you. They just hid it behind an asterisk. But that's always been the case. Debunked, right? What more can I add to this video? I want to see people challenge this, right? So I mentioned the CDC study. There was 469 people. That was the group. If you have like a larger group of people and you go, no, but Chillmonger, look, check it out. When this group of people, they all got the shots, and it was the unvaccinated people. Look at that. If you can provide that study, go ahead. I challenge you, please. I'll make you the top comment. I'll put a heart on you. But you don't have that information because it's just not true. Scientifically, when you break it down, the spike protein is not the replicating part. Having antibodies for the spike protein isn't providing you with immunity like other shots do. Now I'm just repeating myself. So that's the case. That's where Kyrie is. Kyrie Irving didn't even make a choice. Kyrie Irving is doing the neutral. His body, the default is to not poke yourself and inject shit in it. He hasn't made a choice. What happened is New York City made a mandate. He's not participating in it. He never agreed to participate in it. He never signed no contract beginning of the season that said this. Shaq mentioned something about you got to make sacrifices for your teammates. This is not a sacrifice that he signed up for. This is not a reasonable sacrifice. I told you why I think it's illogical. I told you what the health benefits and the health risks are for him, and the health effects, the COVID-19 and how it affects people in certain age groups. I've told you what risk he's facing, and clearly take away every news media thing that you've consumed in fear mongering from the science, from the chart that I showed you to begin this, when 10 people died out of 41,000 in my city. When you see those are what the odds are against this virus, clearly having these shots is reasonable for him not to want these things. And then mandating it, no. The team now because I said the city made the mandate. Now the team made a mandate too. They said if you can't participate and be a full timer, you can't even be a part timer. Hit the road, Kyrie, until you get that shot. This is where Andrew Wiggins kicks in because Andrew Wiggins, a Golden State Warrior, he said he wasn't going to do it. He provided a religious exemption that was declined, and then he goes, "All right," rolls up his sleeves and says, "Hit me." Look at that. I'm buff. I got the stuff. I'm kidding. Andrew Wiggins was coerced. They watched this. The Brooklyn Nets management said, "Oh, we can do that to players. All right, cool. Let's try this with Kyrie Irving." So it's Andrew Wiggins' fault. That's why I brought up Andrew Wiggins. So here we are with Kyrie. They're playing Game of Chicken. Kyrie says he doesn't want to do it. I believe him. If he was gonna do it, he'd have done it by now. He doesn't want to do it. He never promised it. He's not even doing anything. Like there is no ramifications for his decision. He didn't make a choice. This is the outcome of the world around Kyrie Irving, who proposed these things and put these things into existence that did not need to be there, that are illogical according to the data and the public health information that I provided. It is illogical. It's not like this has anything to do with spread. It's not even a health thing. Let's just say that it was about having antibodies in your system. Well, what about people who recover from it? And I paused because I was right about to provide you with this study from Israel that showed you just how it's 13 times more effective to get a natural immunity rather than getting those shots. But it hasn't been peer reviewed, you guys. It's been a while, actually. It's been like a month now. It hasn't been peer reviewed. I wonder if that thing will ever get peer reviewed. I mean, how long does it take for peers to review something that's going to be negative to the bottom line of a drug company? Let's see. It makes you question about these peers, doesn't it? But I'm not going to post that one. I'll just tell you that it's, according to them, it's like 13 times more effective. But natural immunity isn't the case. If it was about health and science, it would be about, let's test your blood, Kyrie. Let's see if you have those spike protein antibodies. It doesn't. And what about people who get spike protein antibodies, okay, and they wear out? Because, they're providing booster shots for older folks. At what point is that like factored in? Does the city of New York say, okay, but if you're over the age of 70 and you lose them antibodies, that's it? No, it's really just, did you do it or not? Is there proof that you went, signed that waiver that said you can't sue us, rolled up your sleeves, and did the thing? Is that all you need? It's not based on science. It's not based on health. You can't refute these things, guys. So that's my Kyrie Irving / COVID-19 / things I wanted to get off my chest for a long time, but I just never had the motivation to do so. This is Chillmonger. This is my YouTube channel where I do stuff like this. I watch my Marvel stuff that I got coming up. There's a hour-long live stream that I did last week right before DC Fandom, and I'll talk about the X-Men comics. This is me talking about Inferno issue number 1. Back to normal. This was a great video. Thanks to everyone for watching.